All right. Welcome to a special broadcast of our UAC Hot Seats podcast. We are here with Dr. Lauryn Brunclik this morning, who has been nominated for the top 20 most impactful chiropractors. So congratulations, first and foremost.
Yay, thank you.
Yes, it's huge. And can we just say this is 2 years in a row for you?
Yeah. Yep. 2 years in a row. I'm going to shoot for, what is it, like when you get 3 strikes at turkey?
Yes,
I'm going to shoot for next year too. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's a hockey term. Well,
neither of us are sports people, obviously, but here we are making analogies.
So nominated 2 years in a row, that says something. First of all, talk about yourself a little bit. Tell us what has led you to get here. How are you known in our profession and some of the things that you do to provide the impact that you do?
Okay. Yeah. So I'm coming off of just being on a business success panel at the ICPA conferences last weekend. Great conference. There was like over 400 people there. And I've been in the ICPA since I graduated in 2010. And, a lot of the questions that I was leaning into and the answers and the questions afterwards and all weekend really kind of, circled around this idea that I feel like as a profession, the previous generation or like when I was in school in the first few years, there was just a little bit of gate-kept information. We were fed very cliche answers about what it takes to be successful. Things like you just need to tell the story, you just need to believe harder, box on the wall, like a lot of things that maybe did work for certain people, but it wasn't the entire story. It wasn't the grit. It wasn't the hustle. It wasn't talking about the divorces that were happening behind because they were working until 8 p.m., 6 nights a week. It wasn't the kids who didn't have relationships. It wasn't the I haven't taken a vacation in 9 years. It also wasn't the what they're doing and buying properties and investing and starting coaching. It was just this one little piece that wasn't untrue. It wasn't the full story. And so to spare the details, I followed like a good little diligent student. I graduated. I went for high volume, and we got to the almost 700 a week and multiple doctors and 7 figures, all cash. And it was one of my least profitable years. We had I couldn't give raises. I couldn't afford, the profitability wasn't there. I had never even calculated the profitability. And so it was this moment where I was like, what the heck? I'm exhausted. My employees hate me because they feel like I'm burning them out. Where did we go wrong? And so honestly, I've been in podcasting. That was 2021 when that happened, but I had been podcasting since 2019. And prior to that, I had been a coach for a practice management group, left there and kind of just felt this void of wanting to talk to chiropractors. So started the She Slays a Day podcast in 2019. And that's when that's kind of where the seed started getting planted, where I started having these conversations with the most successful people. But I'm a very inquisitive person. So naturally, they would give an answer like I had received on stage for 10, 15 years. And I'd be like, but didn't your wife care? Did you miss your kids growing up? And they would just be look at me yeah, it actually was really hard. And so I started to get past that wall that was often given. And we started to get real answers on wealth and relationships and what it really takes and some of the regrets that they had experienced, and so started to really formulate this okay, how do we take the truth of what they were saying? Because again, it was truthful. It wasn't that they were lying, but then how do we put this millennial spin on it where it's well, I have no intention of taking 7 years without a vacation. If I don't have a vacation planned within the next 7 weeks, I go through an issue. And so how do we start to, and my audience got to really come along on this entire journey with me of 2019 to 2021 to starting to formulate the answers in 2022 and 2023 and rolling out in 2023 like kind of a coaching program of like, okay, here's like real life, what I did in the last 2 years to fix this. And so now in 2026, the podcast is still going. It's awesome. It is like my catharsis. I love having people on. Like currently I'm looking for guests that can help raise a teenage girl, because personally, that's what I'm going through, and I'm like, "Oh my god, like, this is really hard." And so it's just been I think that it's my vulnerability. I think it is my inquisitiveness and my directness in advice that's really gotten me to stand out.
I love that conversation around getting behind the curtain, right? We're all asking those questions
Mhm.
inside our brain, but we just don't always let them come out from our mouths. And I just love
Right.
having a platform to where we could really dig in and, yeah, what is the whole picture?
Mhm.
How can we have it all? Can we have it all? And
Mhm.
especially as women, I know that you really focus on your journey as a mom and as a business owner and all of those things. So, that makes me just really curious as to how you get people to open up. I mean, one, I would think it would just be because you're disarming, you're willing to share, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes. And so it becomes a
They're
safe
live on a
place,
podcast, and they're like,
right?
"Oh."
That's one thing I know about you is pretty sure you are who you are. You what you
Yeah.
see is what you get, right? And that's so
Mhm.
refreshing. So, would you say that is a huge part of what your clients are coming to for you? They want to, right?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
see that in you and they want to be able to live that and express that as well.
Yeah, like, as a coach, I'm very tactical, and I'm not very I save all of my emotional intelligence and, like, filter for my children. Um, so they get it all used up. So by the time I'm coaching someone, like, I have a little bit of a filter that's like, "You can't say it that way, you can't say it that way," and I'll be like, "What's wrong with you?" And that's or I'll be like, "But you're being naive, right?" Like, and that was the nice way to say it. Um, no, I'm being extra harsh on myself, like, but it is just like, I am not like it's why I started the podcast in the first place is I had left coaching and I love giving advice. Like, one of the funniest stories in between there was about 6 weeks in between leaving coaching for the practice management and starting the podcast, where I was standing at a weenie wagon, that's what they're called in Wisconsin. It's a food stand,
Okay.
but they sell hot dogs. And so really, really popular weenie wagon, and they're like, where you order and where you pick up was this one same small window. And so I'm like standing there waiting and I'm like watching inside their kitchen and I see that they have this back, this completely back door that they're not using. And so, like, they're going a million miles an hour, and I was just like, "Hey, hey," and they're like, "Ma'am, your hot dog's coming." I'm like, "No, no, no, no. Have you ever thought about having pickup orders, like, back there?" And they just, like, unsolicited advice, it should be, like, tattooed on my arm. But, so that's where it's just a natural thing. So, but the question you kind of asked is, like, originally was how do I get people to be real? So, when it's my students I warned them from the beginning that, like, I love so hard. I love so hard, but, like, I really can't help but see the next step for what should be done. And so, like, do I have your permission to, like, give that to you? And so people a lot of times by the time I'm coaching, they've listened for hours and
Mm.
hours on the podcast. They know where that's at. And then a lot of times my husband, who's not a chiropractor, but like a finance, AI, and marketing consultant, he'll be on and he has a much better filter. So sometimes he'll be like, well, Lauren's trying to say. But then when I'm podcasting, so, first of all, I've learned that whenever you're at a conference, when you have somebody off stage, you're not gonna be able to nor is it appropriate to get anything other than really sound bites out of them there, okay? Like, they are in presentation mode, so, like, maybe if you're at the bar later and they've had a drink or 2, you can be like, so, like, you're not gonna get stuff with people coming off stage, but on the podcast I'll start with just before we start recording, I'll be like, "So have you ever listened to the podcast?" And, my job is never to embarrass anybody. That's really, really important though too, for anybody who's like, "All right, no, never going on our podcast." Because as a host, Lynn, like, your goal is to make your guest look amazing. You don't want like, there are certain podcasts, like, I don't know, I can't think of it, but, like, that they wanna, like, gotcha. That's not the intention. It's just, like, I know my audience wants to know this, and so I'll ask, like, "Okay, is there anything that's off the record that you don't want me to ask about?" And,
Mm,
like, "Hey, I'm gonna go deep on some of these things. I don't really know where we're gonna go. Is that okay?" And, and then I'll literally tell them, especially the more trained of a speaker they are, the more I'll say, like, "Hey, I'm gonna try and get you off your sound bites." Like, some of the worst people are the ones who are actually the best
oh,
speakers, and they've done the podcast. They just
that's so
know how to
interesting.
answer the
Mhm.
questions in sound bites, and I'm like, "Okay, well, that was lovely, and I'm sure we'll use that for marketing, but, like, what's the real answer?"
Well, I just love that, Lauren, because it's so interesting to hear your process, and you've obviously put a lot of thought into that. And it's truly, I think, what most of us pay for when we are looking for a coach. We want no
Mhm.
BS, right? So back to everything that you've accomplished because you've done so much. I mean, this is you're so young, but you've accomplished the podcast. You've had a great high volume practice. You're now in coaching. You've got programs for your clients that you're building out and in group and individual and your social media presence. I mean, it's very impressive. What would you say out of everything you've done, whether it's just one acknowledgement or a whole program, whatever it is for you that you're most proud of?
Oh gosh. That is hard. So, my personality is not to be proud of myself, so that's why that's a hard question. Um, there's a lot I think naturally the people who if you took all of the people who are gonna win Most Influential Chiropractor and the people nominated and asked them that question, it might be one of the hardest because here's the easy answer. My
Mm,
family, my relationship with my husband and my children. Is it true? 100%. 100%. If that wasn't there, then none of it would matter. And so I think it's my relationship with my family and my kids is kind of like my health. I put a lot of intention into it, but because it's stable, I'm not as grateful for it
mm,
as I should be, right? Like people say like you don't really appreciate your health until it starts to slip.
mm,
So rock hard marriage, amazing kids, love them. It's stable. I put a lot of work into it. That should be the answer. It probably is. But when asked, I feel like the nature of the chiropractor who's being nominated, they're a driver. They're very
mm,
future focused. They're thinking about the last launch that didn't go as well. They're thinking about the marketing that isn't hitting like it did a year ago. They're wondering which stages, like, how come they didn't get asked to be on that stage? How do I get on that podcast? How do I access a bigger, like, and so it is Gap versus Gain is one of my favorite books
love that book.
for, oh my gosh. It just like literally anytime somebody asks, like, what's the most life changing book? That's the one
Huge.
that I go to. So, I think that if I had to really, really reflect of, like, what am I most proud of, it's that I'm willing to build this my way.
Mm,
Build this my way and learn quickly. Like, I continue to chase that's like because 'cause I'm a good student, I follow, like, all right, you follow a path, an expert says, like, "All right, here's, like, the next, mile for you." And you're like, "Okay." Like, I wanna save time, I wanna expedite time, so you learn from experts, I go to a UAC event, and people there are so much more advanced. I would talk to you like, "All right, hey, Lynn, like, gonna start writing a book." Like, I would soak up your knowledge and start trying to apply your path my way, and then the second that it doesn't start working, I quickly I quickly pivot. I
course
quickly
correct.
pivot and go like, "Okay, that piece isn't working for me." and like what's inauthentically working in my journey and quickly pivot. So I'm a very fast action taker, but I'm also a very fast pivoter. And I think that's why things just move quickly. I think that's why, it's like this past year, we sunset two different 90-day programs that were on pace to do like 2 million. And we sunset them because I knew there was no way getting to 2 million was going to be at the expense of my health and my
Mhm.
marriage and my sanity. And so therefore it wasn't scalable.
It's worth it.
And it was like, okay, well, we're never going to get to 3 to 5 with this current process. So we went, paid for coaching. They were like, okay, scrap these. Here's your new plan. And I was like, okay. And it was basically within about a 2-week time period that we were like, say goodbye. And we haven't launched it yet. We're like, and we're in preparations for that. So that'll be coming in the fall type of thing, the new thing. But it's just like looking forward, like taking the advice, looking forward and not ruminating too much.
Love it. Love it. So that begs the question. You've kind of already answered it, but I'll ask it. What still feels unfinished? What's out there for you to
Oh,
check a box?
so much. Everything. Um, so if you follow me on social media, one of the things I am well known for is stating that I am going to retire from healthcare at 47. So I turned 40 in September of this year. So, for why 47 is what I'm asked for or asked a lot. And it was because that's when my husband and I will be empty nesters. And we had kids young, and it was like, okay, then what? And I love seeing patients. I currently see patients 10 hours a week still. It's great. But I want to be able to go spend 2 months in Hawaii. I just really want to be able to move around the world, around the country, um, at whatever pace I want. And when our kids are gone, we'll have that. We'll have that possibility as long as I'm not seeing patients. And so we are making all of the financial and wealth moves. Even though it's 7 years away, we are preparing for a sale now. We are looking for a buyer now. We are doing that now. And it's totally possible. I could do it by 45 if I wanted to, but I would still have a
Kids at home.
junior in high school,
Yeah,
like you know what this
I
is like.
know.
Um and so I'm mentally preparing, I'm financially preparing, but then, like, people have asked, like, "Okay, but, like, you're not retiring." I'm like, "Oh, hell no. No, my brain I plan on working till the day I die. I just don't plan on being required to be in my brick and mortar. I'm not gonna die over my chiropractic table." Like, and that's the thing of, like, I don't know. I'll write a book. I don't know, I'll run for politics. I don't know. I'll do basically whatever I want to do, but I'm preparing for that. So I have no idea. I know that this fall we are launching Rich Stock Lab, which is it is the culmination of all of my programs on personal branding and systems and profitability, marriage, relationships, adventure, leveraging team, and leveraging cash flow for investments, real estate, crypto, like kind of teaching. That was that piece that was often missing of like, okay, you're doing really well in your clinic, but what are you doing to like for true wealth and like all of that piece. So that's coming out this fall. And then I don't know, 2 years from now, I have no idea.
Love it. So much ahead. Sky's the limit.
Mhm.
So inspiring. Thank you. Just cluing up here, who is someone that you really admire? Maybe they're on the list, maybe they're in the UAC, maybe they're not. Who's someone you really admire in chiropractic?
I think that what Heidi Havik
Mm,
and Dr. Mo are doing for our profession is phenomenal, phenomenal. Um, Elise Rigney is one of my best friends, but before she was one of my best friends, she's kind of the GOAT within millennial females standing up and doing it our way and taking what's good from future speakers, and all of her mentors and coaches. And so like she really is like one of my best friends, but like biggest inspirations within chiropractic of what
Of
she's
course.
doing, the connections that she keeps with people. She's just a stand-up person.
Love it. Love it. Congrats again, and thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
being here, and just love hearing from you, just love your refreshing, talk track and everything that you have to share with us and our audience today, and appreciate you so much. See you soon.
Thank you.